Today we have Chris Lopez of Blanket Productions and Andy of YDNA Boardriders with us. Chris has spent over 20 years working in photography, with a fair few of those years working at Sony Music. Chris has photographed many acts including Adele, Kasabian and very recently One Direction. Andy has been involved with live events and promotion on a national and international scale, bringing acts in from Australia and making tours possible throughout Europe. Andy's latest project is the setup of Roslyn Records.
I think it was just an initial love of music as a kid, and growing up, and always sort of loved going to gigs. And then I opened up a shop in Bournemouth in 2004, selling surf and skate stuff. And through sort of getting a community beyond that, we decided to chuck a party for the first year anniversary, and that sold out. It's only a small one, but it sold out. And so second year we did another one, doubled the number of people, literally just coming because it was a Boardriders party. So at that point I realised I could actually email some managers and agents, and we booked in the beautiful girls from Australia and sold out the walkabout in town. And so it was kind of on from then really. The music side sort of almost took over, and yeah.
I started 20 years ago photographing friends in bands. I was a really shit drummer, so the closest thing I could get to being in the band was picking up a camera and photographing bands. So that's how I started, and then I got a gig with Sony Music as the staff photographer in '98, and did 10 years there photographing all the major acts that were with Sony at the time: AC/DC, Pearl Jam, you know, list goes on and on. And yeah, studio, location work, all sorts really. And I love music, I love photography, so combining the two was you know, the dream come true for me. So.
Yeah, I think it's really important that a band develops and becomes tight as like one unit and just plays really well, gets their sound down, is really happy with what they've got before they venture, you know, to London or anything like that. Because sometimes you only get one shot, and if you get there too early, you know, that's it, you might have missed it. So, you know, you've got to be tight and ready to play for promoters and be professional by the time you get there. So, yeah.
Great. Chris, you got any thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's all about live music, isn't it, these days? So, you know, I think you've got to do the groundwork, get your fan base together, you know, and play as many gigs as you can locally before you start having aspirations of playing at Wembley. You know, so yeah, do the groundwork, play as many local gigs as you can, work hard, you know, and go from there really.
You know, I mean, basically you've got to hit every level of marketing you can find really. Whether it's phoning up the local radio station, newspaper, you know, write an article and send it to the newspaper. They'll stick it in on the day of the gig, and you might get an extra 20 people. When you actually get to the town, make sure you're out handing out flyers. Don't just turn up late for sound check. Do your thing and then leave. You've got to be there early in the morning, hand out some flyers, busk if you have to. Band I work with, the Wishbones, they busk and end up getting, you know, 30 to 50 people come to a gig straight off the back of their busking. You know, and so they're starting to develop fans in other towns, you know, and you've got to really work hard to do that. So anything, you know, blogs, online, get all the dates up on your MySpace, Facebook, everything. Yeah, a few gigs are coming to mind. A couple of them being yours, Mike. Obviously, you know, you've got a lot of friends and a lot of fans that come to the gigs, and when we combine that with our Boardriders parties, you know, there's a lot of crossover market there, and they were pretty loud, pretty amazing. Band called Roger That from Australia, they were pretty amazing. You know, they seemed to have, you know, no one knew who they were, but you know, we're playing walkabouts, getting up there, and there was a few hundred people in each venue, and walkabouts are big, you know, big empty dance floors. By the third or fourth track in, they would have attracted all the girls to the dance floor. By the fifth track, everybody would be on the dance floor, and by the end track, everyone would be going mental. I've not seen a band who were totally unknown do that before, and they did it every night for 6 nights. The best support band you could ever want.
Do you think it was just the energy that they put into the show rubbed off on the crowd?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you've got the bassist, you know, and they all wore stuff that was like jackets, and they all had a look, and they had something that they were doing that would each get to different crowd. Like the bassist would be like no shoes, he'd be up on the amps playing, you know, dancing about. You got the singer doing his thing. Everyone was doing something to get the crowd into it. You know, everyone had their own special thing about them. And then, you know, another special one, obviously Ben Howard.
I was going to say that Ben played at the fire station recently in Bournemouth, and you know, the fact that it's new, still early days for him. You know, obviously the music speaks for itself. So you know, if it's great music, you're going to get all your fans down there. It's going to be good anyway.
Yeah.
But when it's at the very beginning of somebody's career, it's almost more exciting, really. You know, because you know you're going to see that next year that guy's going to be playing in a bigger venue. There's going to be more people. You're not going to get so close and intimate to him.
Yeah, well, we've watched that for the last like 3 years. We've seen
Yeah.
that at the Winchester,
Yeah.
and you know, when he does the lap percussive playing, he's just like gaining fans because everyone's just like, what the hell's that?
Yeah.
And he's, you know, he's doing something different. He's
It's
doing
engaging,
something
you know,
to engage with the people.
Yeah.
Even though he might be a shy guy, you know, he can still get through to the people. And I think each band needs to look at how they do that.
Yeah.
It's not just you know, it is the music business, and you know, you got to craft your market.
Yeah.
You got to fake it until you make it.
Yeah.
Well, the reason Roslyn Records came about was basically to release a record of Matthew P's. Matt was on Fiction Records, part of Universal. So as it stands, that's an accolade in itself. You know, they're willing to invest in this guy. He toured for a couple of years. He's really professional. He's been a musician on the road for 10 years pretty much, and he's got a great album. So yeah, just really wanted to work with Matt, and Matt came on board, and we're gonna hopefully release that in May. So look out for that.
Good music, I think that's what it comes
Yeah.
down to. Really. You know,
Yeah.
if there's a gap for that music, not to be released in in the right way, and plus I think the music that Andy's looking at the moment fits the vibe for the label. You know,
Yeah.
there's definitely there's no point going out and signing a thrash metal band because it just won't fit the roster. You know. It's hard on that because obviously I don't want to do myself out of any work.
Yeah.
So I would encourage young bands to go out and use me. No, but I mean seriously, I'll never forget when I was at Sony, Sam Winwood, one of the A&R guys, I had a friend in a band and they had designed this, the band was called Candy, and they had designed this demo which was like a Kit Kat wrapper, and the actual CD was wrapped in tin foil. And then the outside of the thing was the round ripped off of the Kit Kat logo. It said Candy in the middle, and then on the back it had nutritional value, like the band's names and everything else. And it was the best packaged demo I'd ever seen. But Sam Winwood held up a tape, like a C90 tape, with a piece of paper wrapped round with the band's name on it on an elastic band, with an elastic band around it, just holding it all together. And he was like, "This is the best demo I received last year." So, from an A&R man's point of view, it's not really that important to get signed for that original trying to get signed bit. But I think now the game has changed, the industry's changed a lot. So record companies aren't in the game of spending thousands in development. They really want a finished package now. So I'd say for new bands, I think every new band, they've all got friends who can pick up a camera. Everybody's a photographer these days. So go out and shoot as much as you can, and shoot with as many different people as you can as well, because I think everybody does it differently. Photography is an incredibly personal art form, so everybody does it differently. Work with as many different photographers as you can to get those different results, and then you'll end up with a bigger sort of collection of work, really. And I think obviously there's no point going out and photographing. If you're a folk band, there's no point going out and shooting in a club, or there's certain things that you just you would stay away from automatically. Really, I think you've got to keep it real and keep it to the vibe of the music. So on that basis, just shoot as much as you can. Really, I think. Oh God, that's a hard one, man.
There's been a lot, I'm sure.
There's been loads. I mean, I obviously for me, I get off on working with bands that I really, really like. So, AC/DC, I spent a few dates with AC/DC in the UK tour a few years ago in 2004. That was amazing because I was in awe of the band themselves, So for me, that was just brilliant, But there's been loads. I mean, I don't really. I have to distance myself from that personal angle slightly because I do all sorts of music. I do classical and dance music. We did a shoot the other day with Julie Thompson, who was brilliant, and the single was called Underwater, so I shot her in the bath. And so straddling a pretty girl in the bath and shooting that was really good fun. I mean, there's loads. There's so many good moments that I've had. Reef, brilliant. Had amazing times with them. So I can't pinpoint one really. I think fan interaction with bands is really important, and if you can bring that into the physical element, then brilliant. I think and then obviously you're going to get a different feel from different people for doing all that type of having that interaction with them. So yeah, packaging wise, I think you can do anything. I mean, go organic and use organic materials, or there's so many different things you can do on that level. But I think it's definitely, it makes it more interesting and more engaging for the fans if they can get involved with the product themselves. So that helps, I think.
I mean, I'm a big fan of the actual physical CD package. But I mean, we've been discussing lately of various ways you can release an album. And trying to get along with the slightly newer ways of doing it, instead of maybe releasing an entire album, all at once, where people might only buy one track because they flick through it and they go, they might just listen to the first couple or whatever and go, oh, that one's cool or whatever. We're thinking maybe just release the album over a space of 10 months, one track a month. And that way all your fans, every single one of them might buy each track every month.
Yeah, it's almost like releasing a single every month. As part of a collection of work.
So,
which is known as
that'd be quite a unique way of doing things. I'm not too sure that's been done before. I'm just giving away our secrets.
Yeah, probably.
But
people will appreciate it.
Yeah. I think you got to get different at the moment, don't you? And just. But make sure it's quality, 100% quality music first and foremost.
Yeah, it's all about the music.
And then
there's no point trying to. You can package something in the best way possible, but if the music's not good enough, then nobody's going to buy it. So.
And always get lots of feedback from people you trust.
Yeah.
Before printing thousands.
Yeah, there's a lot of yes men in this game. So, get the people you trust closest to you to give you genuine feedback. Because that's a really good tip. Yeah.
I'm very much up for quality rather than quantity. There will be slight exceptions where something has like a cool vibe or something. If the sound's not great but it's got a cool vibe, or the look of it's great, or they've not got anything out at all. It's probably best to have something than nothing. But in general, quality over quantity. And if you can get a professional editor and professional filmers, that'll just be like leagues above what you can do, and it'll actually gain you fans. Because the music's going to be good because you concentrate on it. But I've noticed a lot of bands have really, really shoddy videos, and as a promoter, from a promoter's point of view, videos are like the things you use on social networking to get people to listen and watch. So it has to merge the two. In a quality way. Yeah,
there's a fine line at the moment. There's so many platforms to put your stuff up with. You've got Facebook and blogging and Twitter and everything else, YouTube and everything else. There's so many different platforms that almost in a way people are scrambling to get the content together to put it out, you know, in almost different ways on these different platforms. But you know, I mean, take Adele for example. At the moment, she doesn't do any of that. She doesn't do any press interviews. The videos are non-existent. You know, there's maybe 1 or 2 videos that she's had out of that album. It's the biggest selling album of the 20th century, 21st century. So you know, I mean, on that basis, there's you know, it's like, well, the less is more. You know, in that sense, I think.
Personally, if bands want to email me at info@ydnaboardriders.com, just with a link to their Facebook, MySpace or SoundCloud and YouTube, so I can kind of see what genre they are, how many fans they might have, and just where I can place them within a lineup, and on what particular night. You know, they can get a support slot, or they can have a headline or middle act or whatever. So just all the information you can give me really via email is fine.
All depends about the music, really. If it's good music, and you know, I always say that to people. Just say, send me the music. If I like it, I'll do it. Even on minimal budget, I'll get involved. Obviously, if you've got big bucks, that helps. But other than that, it's all about the music. If I often get people sending me demos and they are really shockingly bad, and if that's the case, then I often politely turn them down. But if it's good music, I'll do it.